I want to apologize in advance for this video. We just got a new dog. His name is Duke. He's here with me in the church. So if you see me distracted or if there are a lot of cuts in this video, it's because my new puppy is here with us and he is adjusting to being a calm dog, aren't you? That's a good boy. Start with a reading from the Gospel of Matthew chapter 5, verses 1 through 12. Now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up to the mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them. He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in the kingdom of heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." This is a reading from 1 John 3. "See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are. The reason the world does not know us is that it did not know him. Dear friends, now we are children of God. And what we will be has not yet been made known. But we know that when Christ appears, we shall be like Christ, for we shall see God, see Christ as they are. All who have hope in him purify themselves, just as Christ is pure." It's the word of the Lord for the people of God. Thanks be to God. On All Saints' Day, we are tasked with keeping alive the memories and legacies of the people of faith who have come before us. We remember those who became martyrs for their love of God and love of their fellow humans. People like Martin Luther King Jr., a champion of civil rights in our time, who was murdered largely for speaking out against the Vietnam War and abuse of the poor and the inherent racism in the United States. People like Archbishop Oscar Romero, who was killed for telling the soldiers of the Salvadorian army to put down their arms and stop killing their fellow countrymen during the Civil War. People like the early Christian martyrs, like St. Stephen, who in the book of Acts was killed for proclaiming the faith, and yet at his stoning prayed that his killers would be forgiven. People like John the Baptist and the Apostle Paul. We remember those who came before that taught us the basic tenets of our faith. Moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas, aunties, uncles, even church family. We remember the saints that taught us how to pray, how to sing, and forced in us the values of kindness and charity and solidarity, the people who taught Sunday school, those who imparted upon us that God loves us. We also remember on All Saints' Day those who came before that transformed the faith. People like Martin Luther, who led the Reformation, people like James Cone and Gustavo Gutierrez, who are credited with the genesis of liberation theology. Women like Katie Cannon and Jacqueline Grant and Dolores Williams, who helped found womanist theology, or people like Elizabeth Cruciger, who was the first female hymnist, one of the first. We remember and celebrate the ways that they have changed how we worship, opened up and made accessible new images and conceptions of God, and we celebrate how they have been so pivotal to our spiritual life and brought us into new dimensions of prayer and praise. We also remember those who have given their lives to mission and work. Folks who fight to make sure that all people have access to education and shelter and food on their table. that everybody has clean water and meaningful life. We remember all the folks that tend to the sick and dying, the folks who respond during crisis, the people that have gone before us and made the world better for us. People like, especially now, hospital chaplains who may have been there to offer prayer during one of your loved ones' transition to death, or folks who have been working during this pandemic, often the only comfort people have in hospitals, especially those who have lost their lives doing that work, comforting others that are ravaged by the virus. This All Saints' Day, we remember them. On All Saints' Day, we recognize the multitudes that have come before us and have made it possible for us to stand where we are today. On All Saints' Day, we have the powerful reminder that we are not ourselves alone, but we owe a debt of gratitude to all those who came before us. We do not stand alone in our faith, but we are under the cloud of witnesses that has blessed us in extraordinary ways. That's what we celebrate on All Saints' Day, those who have come before, those whose faith has made us faithful. When I lived in Ohio, I sometimes did volunteer work with the Interreligious Task Force on Central America and Colombia. Duke, come here. Or IRTF for short. IRTF works in solidarity with people of Central America, advocating for the fair treatment of those people, both here in the United States and in Central and South America. They advocate for the right to self-determination, for protection of human rights advocates, for human rights, to the end of U.S. imperialism and intervention in countries like Colombia and El Salvador. And they advocate for the rights of the poor. They advocate for the health of the environment. And IRTF becomes witnesses to the realities of people in South and Central America, and then convey those realities to our policymakers here in the States. Often, IRTF is asking our policymakers to lend their voice to human rights advocates who have been threatened with violence, to offer some kind of protection for them. Every year, IRTF hosts a human rights banquet, which they call the Commemoration of the Martyrs. I've not been able to attend, unfortunately. But this is a remembrance for IRTF of their founding. IRTF was founded because martyrs of the faith, 4 U.S. churchwomen who in 1980 were in El Salvador. Jean Donovan, Sister Dorothy Kazel from Cleveland, Jean and Dorothy, and the Mary Knoll sisters, Mara Clark and Ida Ford. These 4 women were working with the poor and displaced people in El Salvador, and they were kidnapped and murdered. IRTF started largely as a group of people wanting answers in an investigation into what has happened to these women. And unfortunately, their fate mirrors the fate of thousands of poor and unnamed Salvadorians. And they eventually learned that it was the Salvadorian army that committed the atrocities that occurred to these 4 women. The Salvadorian army, which was trained and backed by the United States of America. And so then advocates began asking, demanding change. Advocates began seeing this isolated incident as part of a troubling pattern of abuse and corruption in American intervention in Central America and Colombia. And these advocates committed themselves to solidarity with the poor, displaced, and marginalized communities of Central America and Colombia. I have a shirt that was given to me by RTF, which I am wearing right now, which has the faces of these 4 women affixed upon the front, and across the bottom the word presente sits. I wear this shirt every All Saints Day, which I believe is also the day in which IRTF typically hosts their human rights banquet in commemoration of the martyrs. From what I've heard at this commemoration, there's a point in time in which the names of the martyrs are read and the names of these human rights advocates, many of whom who were disappeared or killed. The names of these human rights advocates are read, and then those who are present, who have a connection to that name, they say, presente, present, I'm here. When the name of the martyr is read, the people declare their presence. And by doing so, declare the presence of that martyr in their midst. By proclaiming their presence, the people declare that those who have passed, the human rights advocates who have been disappeared and killed, those who have just simply died of old age, all the people who worked for the life and liberty and quality of life, all those who worked in solidarity for the marginalized and poor in Central America and Colombia, they are still present. Their spirits are pushing us forward. Their work continues in us. Their love is still felt by those present today. They're a part of the cloud of witnesses that watches over us. They are present, even though they have passed. At the commemoration of the martyrs, the folks from IRTF commemorate the sacrifice of the martyrs, honor their legacy, and then they recommit themselves to acts of solidarity with the people of Central America and Colombia. I propose we take a page from IRTF. On this All Saints' Day, let us commemorate the sacrifice of those who have gone before us. Let us honor their legacies. Let us commemorate the sacrifice of the early Christian martyrs and today's martyrs. The people fighting for religious liberty, people fighting for human rights, people fighting so that we all may be recognized as beautiful, wonderful, fearfully made children of God. Let's commemorate the sacrifice of those who have dedicated their life to mission and ministry so that others may live more fulfilling lives. This All Saints' Day, let us commemorate those who taught us the tenets of the faith. Commemorate all they taught us and to continue down the paths that they paved, to continue down that road that they never got to walk down. Let us commemorate those who changed the faith, commemorate those pioneers, and honor their legacy by continuing to adapt and develop the ways we know and love God, just like they did. In Evergreen, let us commemorate those in our church whom we have lost, like Barbara Johnson and Carol Livingston and Donna Killen. Let us honor their legacy. Let us commemorate the saints on whose shoulders the church came to be. The saints who founded committees, who sang in choirs, who prayed for us and with us. Those saints who we would not be here today without their work and witness. Those saints who are still present. And then let us recommit ourselves to the work they left for us, proclaiming good news, the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ, caring for the poor and the needful, being in solidarity with the marginalized, loving all God's children, worshiping and glorifying a Creator who loves us. 1 John 3 says that what we will be is not yet known. Now is the time to remember all that has brought us here, all the saints, all the martyrs, all the church women, all the church family, the grandmas and the grandpas and aunties and uncles who taught us. Now is the time to remember, to commemorate, to honor, and to recommit. Recommit to the work they have left for us. recommit to do the work and ministry and mission they never would have dreamed of, because what we will be is not yet known. And what the saints will witness to through us is not yet known. This All Saints' Day, let us commemorate and honor our saints, recommit to the work they left, and journey into the unknown with the saints as our witness. That's how we can, this All Saints' Day, keep the faith and memory alive of those who passed before us. Commemorate, honor, recommit. Amen.